Is the hyperwave theory BS? Well, we're going to talk about that today. What's up, guys? This is Crypto Savvy. Today, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin versus gold chart and talk about the hyperwave theory that's going around. And after that, we're going to take a look at Litecoin and Bitcoin and look at our targets and where we might be headed. So, also, if you haven't joined already, I started a Discord group. I'll leave a link to that down in the description. Check it out if you get time, and let's get into the charts.
1, 2, 3, jump!
All right, guys, as always, I want to start out by saying I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion and my view of the market only. Anybody that's doing any trading or any investing in this market, I suggest you do your own due diligence and your own research, as this market can be extremely volatile and risky. Also, keep in mind that it's still a speculative market. Don't put in more than you're willing to lose. Also, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button in the lower right hand side of the screen. That'll get you subscribed to the channel. Tick the notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos so you don't miss out on anything. Smash those likes and leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of this video, and let me know what you think of Bitcoin and Litecoin in the long and short term. I like to read your guys' comments, like to know where everybody's at and what everybody's thinking. So, yeah, if you would, I'd appreciate it. Also, if you're on Twitter or Telegram or anything like that, I'd appreciate it if you shared the videos to get them out there if you like them. And let's get into, this is the Bitcoin daily chart, and I'm going to click over to the gold weekly chart from back in the 70s to, 80s to the 2000, late 70s to the 2000 area, and we're gonna move over and see what happened next. But if you look at the similarities in the Bitcoin and then the gold chart, and this is why I believe, or I don't believe, that we are in a hyperwave, if there's a such thing as a hyperwave. Anyways, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin first. You can see this dotted line I had drawn here going all the way down. And then there's a solid line I have from the second peak. The dotted lines from the all-time high. The solid lines from the second peak here. And then I have a solid long-term trend line on the bottom. Also this dotted line, which would be the bearish case. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But now we're going to look at gold. Same thing from the peak over here. I put the dotted line across to where it broke down. And the solid line from the second peak to where it broke down. And the long-term trend line on the bottom. As you can see, Bitcoin was the same. They both went to where it broke down from 6,000 here. Now we're going to take a look at gold and what happened here. And another thing I want to talk about is that I don't believe that we have to see the capitulation candle that everybody's talking about. But first, let's take a look at what happened to gold here. As you can see, it had a huge bull run after this. And I'm going to get back into the Bitcoin and just show you where we're at with that. Obviously, we haven't had the rise yet, in my opinion. But we're going to look at what happened here. Right around March 2003, the ETF was approved, and then this thing just skyrocketed with all the institutional money in that came along with the ETF. It just skyrocketed, and I do believe, if not the ETF or ETF gets approved here within the next month or two, something big is going to happen and bring us up. And again, guys, this is just my opinion. You know, do your own research and your own due diligence. This is just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, and I do not give financial advice or trading advice for that matter. So go back here, and we're going to look for this capitulation candle. And as you can see, there was none. We had no capitulation candle. And I do understand that this is gold on the weekly versus Bitcoin on the daily, but charts are based on human emotion, and these charts are playing out a lot alike. But as we zoom in here, you can see that there was no big capitulation candle at all whatsoever. You know, just a nice rounded bottom. And like I said, right around the March of 2013, which would be right in this area, where is where that ETF was approved. Let's go into Bitcoin. Also going to take a look at the weekly RSI and the monthly RSI. It's pretty interesting. So anyways, this is where we're at with Bitcoin now, and we're going to look at where, you know, I believe the bottom is, and that is right here. I believe that was our lows, and I don't believe we're going to see lower lows. We could come back down and test this bottom trend line around the 35 to 3600, and that's the worst case in my opinion. But if that does break, guys, then, you know, we could be looking down at this bottom trend line, which could bring us down between the $2,000 and $2,500 range. But in my opinion, I don't see that happening. So as you can see, we don't have a capitulation candle here, and I don't believe that we have to see a capitulation candle. That's not to say it can't happen. But also, if you look in here, we're getting support on the EMAs right here. I don't know if you guys can see them. I have some other lines drawn in here, and we're up against one of them now. And then the next line would be up into this area here, which would be, you know, the high 4,000s. And the 200 EMA is up here at the 4650 range right now. So now I'm going to take a look at the RSI. First, we will go to the weekly RSI. Again, guys, this is Bitcoin. I'm going to open up the RSI. And you can see I have two trend lines drawn here. The first one was from the bull run of 2013. And then the bear market of 2014. As you can see, this trend line where we come up and I'll zoom in a little bit. You can see on this trend line, we came up, tested it, got resistance, come back down into the oversold, tested it again here, got resistance, and eventually broke through. And then obviously we tested this line here. And if we look at the chart where that first touch, where the first low was, see if I can zoom in here so you guys can see it. Right here was the first touch of this trend line here, and then this was the low, and that was the low here also. And then when we came up again to test this, let me go back in. This is where we came back to test this trend line again, and then we never seen another low like we did over here. So let's zoom into here, and this was the low I showed you. And when we got resistance here again, we ended up making a inverse head and shoulders, which, you know, we continued up from there, but we never seen another low after this low once we broke through this trend line. And if we look over at where we're at now, this was the 2017 bull run, and then the 18 bear market. And this is where we tested our trend line. This was what I believe to be the low. We could get some resistance right here again, you know, and come back down. That's where I believe we may test that bottom trend line at 35 to 3600. But I do believe that the bear market is over, in my opinion. I'm going to go into the monthly now in the RSI. And as you guys can see, I have two arcs drawn in here. And this is the bull run from 2013, then the bear market 14, bull market 2017, bear market 2018. As you can see, I marked the lows in the RSI. There were 4 lows over here, you know, before our move up. Obviously, we had some sideways movement over here until around September of 2015 and up. Over here, you can see the same thing. I have 4 lows here. Probably get some sideways action until around June or July of this year. If it does follow this arc. And again, guys, this is just my opinion and my theory. So, but anyways, that's what I'm seeing there. Now we're going to go into Litecoin and look at what's going on here. All right, so I do have some targets here, these higher targets. I'm going to show you how I got those real quick. The first one here would be looking at this as a cup and a handle, and we measure the depth of the cup here, put it to the breakout, and that breakout line, guys, was right here around the 46.50 range. But that brings me to the $72 target. And now I'm going to show you if this here was to be a cup and this is a handle here, and the neckline would be at $52, measure the cup, bring it over to here. That's what gets me the $80 range there, guys. Now I'm going to zoom into actually, we're going to look at the RSI right now. Again, guys, we're in the daily. As you can see, I've had this rising wedge drawn here where we've gotten resistance, support, and we're breaking through here. But again, guys, we're on the daily. We have all day for this to pop up back in there. Definitely keep an eye out, though, because if it does drop too much here, we probably will see a sell-off. But in my opinion, that's not going to happen. So, but keep an eye out. It is possible. Now we're going to look at the 4-hour. Again, this is Litecoin and the 4-hour. As you can see here, I have a symmetrical wedge or symmetrical triangle you can see drawn here where we've gotten support or resistance, support, and we could come back down and test this area here, or continue on up to here. I'm going to look into the price chart now. Keep that RSI in your mind and kind of look and see what's going on here for the smaller target or the shorter time frame targets, I guess I could say. As you can see, I have this rising channel here, and then there's another rising channel here where we popped out of the bigger rising channel. I know some people are seeing this as a rising wedge here where I have this dotted line up against this line. So taking a look at the breakout of this rising channel here would be the width of the channel, and then to where we broke out. That's what brings me up to the $65 range, guys, which we have not hit yet. Now keep in mind that we could, if we come down to test these and we break through, then then we're looking at a more bearish scenario for the short term. But I'm also going to look at, let me zoom in here a little bit. We're going to take a look at this bull flag here. We measured this pull and we put it over to where we broke out. That gets me to the $68 range, guys, which these are my two short-term targets that I do believe we're going to hit the short to mid-term, either the 65 to 68 range. Not to say we stop there, but we could start a correction there, and I don't believe it's going to be too huge of a correction, but until we get more data, we're not going to know that. So now I have another bull flag here and measured the flag pull here, and if we put to the top where we broke out, that gets us to the $65 range also. Now I want to take a look at this rising wedge, and I have a measured move right here from the rising wedge, and if we were to break down from this bottom line somewhere in this area, take a measured move on that, and that brings me down, and it's moved up from the last time we did a measured move. So that lines up with one of my support resistance lines here at 42.60. So if we do break through this area, we could be looking at coming down here to the 42.60 range. Now let's take a look at if we were to break up from over here, which I do believe this is going to happen. But if we take that same measured move and whoops, let me go back here. Sorry about that. We take that same measure move of the channel and take it up to here. Like I said, I do believe, we're heading for these two targets, one of these two targets. And if we were to break out from there, say we broke out from the 6,800, that gets us up to the $80 range here, guys, which was, you know, in the beginning where I was showing you Litecoin as a cup and handle. That's where that measured move also ended up. So yeah, that's my view on Litecoin for right now. Now we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. Gonna start out in the daily and see how I got these targets here. This first target here, we're going to take a look at, and that was measuring this symmetrical triangle with a solid line on top, dotted line on the bottom. Measured the width of the triangle over here to where we broke out of the top of the triangle. That gets us to the $4,900 range. And obviously this line's pretty significant because once we broke through, we came back down and tested it and never came back down. So next we're going to look at the possibility if this was an Adam and an Eve, and the measured move off that would be the neckline right here at 41.17 area. We bring it over to where we would, if we were to break out, that gets us to the 52.50 range, and that's how I get that target there, guys. Again, we're going to look at the RSI, and then we're going to zoom in to the 4-hour chart and take a look at that also. But those are what I'm seeing right now. I also have another measured move here, as if this was a inverse head and shoulders, which this would be the left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and the measured move would be from the neckline of that at the 41.17 area down to the bottom of the head or tip of the head. Bring it over to here is if we were to break out, and that also gets us to the $49 range. So yeah, guys, I really see us getting up into at least these targets, and we're going to talk about those now, but I'm going to go into the daily RSI, and you can see I have this rising wedge drawn here, or rising channel, actually more of a rising channel, where we've had resistance, resistance, support, support, and support. We could come back down and test this again, or continue up from here to go, you know, test the top of this one more time. But definitely watch this area for possible breakdown. I am going to go into the 4-hour now. Again, this is Bitcoin 4-hour RSI. And as you can see, I've had this channel drawn here, which we've gotten resistance, 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 support, support, support. Had kind of a bear trap here, which I've drawn another line, which, you know, would be making this a channel here. But also we continued to get support, and we could come back down, test this one more time, but I believe if we do, we get a nice bounce up. Again, guys, it's my opinion. Let's go into the 4-hour chart now and look at these other targets I have here. All right, so we're going to zoom in a little bit and look at how I've gotten these targets. So the first one here would be, I was looking at this as a bull flag, which I don't know, could be invalidated here, but I'm still going to do this measured move off of this top line here and measure this as the flag pull, and we would bring that up to where we were to break out, and that gets us around the 41.70, 41.50 range. Now, the other, if we were to get up here and break through this, which I do believe is possible, guys, not to say it's going to happen because we're going to have some heavy resistance here, but if we do continue up from there, I would take a measured move of this channel I have drawn here, this rising channel, take a measured move, put it up to here where we would possibly break out, and that gets me to the 4,300 area. So that's how I got that target. Now, if we were to break down from here, guys, say we were to come down and break this bottom trend line of this rising channel, it would be around the 39.50, 39.30 range. Then my next target would be right in this area, the 37.30. And that's, like I said, if we were to break down from this line, but In my opinion, guys, I believe we still have enough momentum to get us up to the 4150 to 4170 range, and then possibly higher, but we'll have to watch it close here and see what happens. So I guess that's about it for now. So anyways, if you guys haven't already, please click this Crypto Savvy logo above my head. That'll get you subscribed. Tick the notification bell to get you notified when I post videos. Smash those likes. Really helps the channel out, guys. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. And please share the video if you belong to Twitter, Telegram, any Discord groups, anything like that. I really appreciate it. It helps the channel grow, guys. Have a good day.